I think if you haven't heard of the Skypanel, I think you've been living under a rock for a number of years. That's probably the most popular LED panel in the industry. It has redefined a number of ways how production work, how it's being deployed, from broadcast to independent to feature film to television series. You'll find a Skypanel somewhere in a production environment. So we could call that Gen 2 or Gen X, the Skypanel X. So I think it's a really, really interesting product. I think a really next generation. I think there are a few things that other panels cannot do that the X can do. So Brian, take it away.
Thank you very much. Yes, so I couldn't have said it better myself. The Skypanel, the S30, S60, 120, and 360 have been a great product for us over the years. But we're now, really excited to introduce the new Skypanel X. We premiered this just a few, I guess now months ago at IBC, and we'll be shipping in about 1 month. So the Skypanel X, this is an all-weather, LED panel, 2x1. So going forward, we're going to continue offering the classic S60C that's so ubiquitous on sets today, in addition to the new Skypanel X. So both of these will be offered going forward. But first things first is sort of the concept and of course the name. So that X in Skypanel X is solving these real user problems, like checking the box and excelling in multiple applications, as a hard light, as a soft light, and multiplying the value of the product or the potential of the light. But what was really important in the development process here was to, cater to the needs of our real customers. That could be, your cine style, it could be your TV film broadcasters, it could be these sort of new markets for us, like the Silicon Valley type of companies that have these really growing media departments. So this is just a quick little timeline of what our development process has been like. It's these early conversations with customers, end users, rentals, start to put together software prototypes, get feedback on that. We were able to do a beta test with real hardware this spring and get feedback there, and have this long path that finally gets us to the Skypanel X today. So this is a weatherproof next generation LED panel. It works as a native soft light, as a native hard light, as an open face bounce, and as this scalable modular system we're going to go into. So some of the use cases we've been hearing about from end users during these beta tests are, these kind of cinema style ones, using this fixture as a direct key light, having it overhead in your grid, backlighting, or using this hyper optic coming up later for, your powerful exterior sort of, big light. Then on the more of like the broadcast, the TV side, using these as, washes and fills in a studio setting. And even for events, using these for, let's say, virtual production on one side or stage lighting on the other. There's a lot of interesting features that play into those use cases. So like I mentioned before, first off, the Skypanel X is an excellent soft panel. You can see it here with this X21 dome. That's a great dimming curve, a really soft wrap, much in the tradition of the Skypanel S60 that preceded it. But it's also now this really punchy hard light. This is the hyper optic. It's like an array of these little lenses that focus over each LED cluster to make a super powerful, punchy hard light. And it can also be used as an open face, for bouncing off of your ceiling or shooting into a diffusion frame. And when I say like a native hard light or a native soft light, this is what lets it work that way. Is we don't have any optics directly in front of the LED. It's just this protective glass cover, like a hardened glass. And so that means we can put diffusion over that, and we're not having to soften a hard light. So it's efficient as a soft light. But it also means that we can have a really powerful hard light with that hyper optic, because we can focus over each LED cluster. We're not trying to turn a hard light soft or turn a soft light hard. We're getting, a really optimized version of each format. And then there's this modular system. So on the bottom left here, this is the X23. This is using 3 Skypanel X's together. They quickly lock into this yoke. You daisy chain power and data with these cables that are attached to that modular system. And you can create this fixture that's 3 of these Skypanel X's together as one single array, and they work together not just in terms of control, but they also perform like one light in terms of having a single solid beam with a single shadow. And on the bottom right, you have that X23 format with the soft light, with the X21 dome. So it can be this really powerful punchy light. It can be this really powerful big soft wrap. And that native soft, native hard light I was talking about before. What's really also interesting about that hard light use, that hyperoptic, is that it has a round beam. Because we're going right off the LEDs and really optimizing for that hard light use, we're able to get this rectangular fixture with a rounded beam, which is really quite hard to do. And here you have a picture showing them sort of working like one. Like we have an X23 here with hyperoptics off of a Condor, this sort of classic nighttime big light application and with one solid shadow. And this is also an IP66 fixture. So I don't want to spend too much time here, but you can read about the specific nitty-gritty of IP ratings. What really matters is that as an IP66 fixture, no dust can get into this product, and it can withstand powerful jets of water from any angle. So you can use it on location if you want to, go out in the field. It can get rained on, it can get caked in mud, and you could clean it off with a hose. Some other, absolutes that our customers were telling us for, we're going to make a new Skypanel, what should it be? These are the 8 things that they told us were really important. It was having a ton of output. And with that hyperoptic, we have 20 times more output than a typical soft light. It was having the product be weatherproof with that IP66 rating, having that full spectrum color science and an extended color temperature range. So the Skypanel X is an RGB ACL light engine. That means you're going to have great white color. You're going to have really nice pastels. You can get saturated color out of it. And we've been able to also increase the white light temperature range from 1500 degrees Kelvin all the way up to 20,000 degrees Kelvin with really good color quality throughout the entire range. Another important thing was having that low end performance. More and more as cameras get faster, the lights are operating at like 10% intensity or less. So we have really great dimming technology built in by default, no special settings needed. Especially for virtual production, this is interesting that we have 8 pixels to play with now for your pixel mapping type of applications. We have a built-in power supply and built-in wireless CRMX. That was just a must, especially on location work. There's the 2 power ports for power, connectors and 2 Ethernet ports on the fixture. That plays into the modularity concept, but it's also really useful if you're building a studio and want to be kind of future facing and run Ethernet for your entire rig. You can daisy chain Ethernet through the Skypanel X. And then of course, there's this quick release rigging system and a bent yoke for better softbox performance. We also have the S60 adapter. So we had earlier that dome optic, we had the hyper optic. We also have an S60 adapter as an optic. With this, you can take all of your existing S60 accessories and put them right on top of the Skypanel X, your honeycombs, your barn doors, sky benders for lighting sykes, all of those inventories. Now we have this modular format. We have the X21, one fixture. It's almost 450 foot candles at about 10 meters. It's 800 watt power consumption. You have the 8 pixels. Then you can put 2 of them together, double the output, double the pixel count, of course, as an X22. And then you have the X23, triple the output, 24 pixels for mapping, and it's 2400 watts, which means that at 120 volts, it still fits on a 20 amp circuit. And here's just another shot of what you can get out of just that normal 20 amp circuit. So I'm almost out of time. I'll keep breezing through here, just showing you the simple setup for this modularity. We have this one stirrup. Right now it's set up for an X23, but you can just pop off that frame with no tools needed and put on the 2 fixture bracket for an X22. You could mount it off a normal yoke, or you can hang it directly from your truss. You control this with just one control panel or via our free Bluetooth app called Wyco. You control it with just one DMX profile. You could use wireless CRMX or have a wired connection. And you can also, for the those working in virtual production, you can get this nice organic look out of the 8 pixels with the dome or the Skypanel adapter on the left, or you can get this kind of eye candy effect with the hyper optic, having a really separated colors in that optic because all of the cells are internally isolated. Extended modularity, you can also build these sort of custom modular arrays. I don't want to spend too much time there because there's one more thing I want to show that's especially interesting for this group with my remaining time is these two projects we've been working on with our colleagues in the solutions and camera team. So on the camera side, we have this ARRI Alexa mode where the Skypanel X is optimized to perform, to the specifications of the Alexa camera sensor, as opposed to your normal high CRI mode that's based on the human eye. Alexa mode is based on our camera sensor. And I know I'm over time here, but the last thing I want to mention for this group, especially for those working in virtual production, is that we're putting out a digital twin of the Skypanel X for use in the Unreal Engine. That means that if you have a Skypanel X on your practical set and you want to have another one in your volume, you can exactly replicate the Skypanel X in the Unreal Engine. It'll have the same, photometric characteristics. It'll have the same parameters of DMX control. It's a one-to-one twin in the virtual space so that you can have a consistent workflow throughout your entire, mixed reality shoot.
Is the intention with the X23 specifically and the hyperoptic to sort of replace the world of HMI or offer an alternative to HMI for lighting on set?
Well, it's in a short answer, yes. The long answer is that we kind of try not to tell people like what it's replacing or what to do, but we had done a bunch of beta tests in the spring. And one of the beta testers, Uwe Greiner from the Berlin test, got some good hands-on with the X23 system with the hyperoptics. And his feeling was that it's going to replace his 4K HMIs for the sort of condor use. Mm-hmm. Or, like an X22 maybe as the crashing through the window type of HMI. So you heard it from Uwe.
Okay. Actually, another question for using the X in virtual production applications. Mm-hmm. Do you, aside from the I think it's 8-pixel divisions you have, will the Skypanel X have a way to be controlled by a video generating application to actually send a video signal, either over IP or any other connections to actually emulate a single pixel display of reflections or lighting that is supposed to come from an off-camera element in the environment that would essentially come from Unreal?
Yeah, you wouldn't feed the Skypanel X video signal directly. It would be fed through a mapping program, like a Mad Mapper or something to that end. So it is very much a lighting fixture in that way. Like it's not really taking video signal directly, but it is quite well optimized for virtual production once you've got it set up on a mapper in terms of having nice color, but also having a decent amount of pixels to play with.